Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Famvestor Podcast. I'm your host, Sunny Burns.
And I'm your co-host, Sunmarie Burns.
Today, we are talking about indoor activities you can do with kids. The world is kind of turned on its head at this point. And anyway, we don't want to dwell too much into that, but you've heard it enough. But I feel like what's interesting is that pretty much the world is homeschooling at this point. At least in our area, all the kids are home and parents are at home trying to work at home while having kids. So today, because Sunmarie has been at home with the kids for the last 4.5 years, Valen's actually turning 5 soon, so 5 years. And so what do you do to entertain these kids all day that are home? It was funny, I was talking to my neighbor, and he's a special ed teacher. He's like, yeah, I don't think these parents really know how to deal with these kids. I'm like, they're their parents. I hope they know. But it's true, you're home with the kids all day, and they're wild. They're bouncing off the walls.
It's a lot of hours to fill.
It's a lot of hours to fill.
A lot of energy to harness.
Right. I think a lot of parents are going to appreciate a lot of teachers after this.
Yes.
Or go crazy. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Or maybe there will be a new surge in homeschooling.
Could be.
For some people who find that it suits them well.
Right, especially for the listeners of this podcast. We have so many homeschool. It's very interesting. We don't target homeschoolers, but it seems like, family finance freedom, what we're all about, the people that we target to come on as guests onto our podcast,
end up being homeschooled.
A majority of them are homeschoolers, and it's not intentional, but it's very interesting how that works out. And I think that's because, most homeschoolers, it's not an easy thing to do to homeschool your children. I mean, all of us are experiencing it right now. It's not easy. It's much easier to put them into an established system where they're occupied and something productive's happening with them for 8 hours without you needing to consciously plan out every single minute of their day. Keep them entertained, keep them learning, keep them engaged while you have your millions of other responsibilities and things that you have to do. So if you want to homeschool, you really have to. It's a lot of work. So I think that's where that intentionality we're always talking about and seeking comes from, and that's why we've had so many homeschoolers. Anyway, that was a segue. So, today we're talking about activities, things you can do with your kids. So, without further ado, let's get to the show.
You're listening to the Famvestor Podcast. If you're looking to raise your family with intention, gain financial independence, and live a life of true freedom, you're in the right place. Join us as we explore together how to create thriving families, because strong families are the cornerstone for a world at peace.
So today we're sharing a whole bunch of activities that we've tried out. 25 specifically. Hopefully some of these will spark some inspiration for you guys and help you through your days. So number one, we're going to start with, since we just had St. Patrick's Day yesterday. Being Irish, we definitely take that holiday seriously in my family. So we enjoyed our corned beef and cabbage dinner and soda bread. And this year we did something new, actually, that we've never done before, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, my coworker told me about it last year. I'm like, I got to do it this year. And I just kind of remembered last minute while we're eating, the soda bread. And I was like, we got to set a leprechaun trap.
That's right.
So, the boys and I got together after dinner. We cut up an old shoebox, set up this little basket, and made a little cutout in the shoebox for the leprechaun to hopefully fall into as he's reaching out for the pennies. We looked for gold coins, but we didn't have gold coins, so we put pennies in this little basket hovering over the shoebox.
Maybe that's why you didn't catch him.
Maybe that's why. Anyway, we set the trap outside, and we came to it this morning only to find a little letter that said, "Ha, tried to get me, nice trap.
But you can't catch me.
Thanks for the coins." So he took all our pennies, and he left 2 bags of gummy bears. So the kids were happy that they got gummy bears at least, and thanks for their pennies. But we were really hoping to take the leprechaun hostage and negotiate a pot of gold. That's what the kids were really looking forward to.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun building it. You had a great design you came up with there.
Honestly, I just Googled Leprechaun Trap and I replicated that first one that came up.
Well, it was a good one. But just a really nice bonding activity to do with your kids, to do a involved crafting activity. I thought it was brilliant. Yeah. They had so much fun. They were so excited.
They're already ready to do it again. I told them to wait a year.
Yeah.
So next year, we're going to catch us a leprechaun.
That's right.
Get that pot of gold. So one thing we've been done differently with the coronavirus is we tried out some online learning. Usually we try to stick away from tablets and screen time. But we saw a lot of media attention around scholastic.com/learn-at-home. And we checked it out, and we thought it was actually really great. And there's a lot of programs out there, Khan Academy, free online learning, especially for older kids. It's great. But yeah, we checked out Scholastic, and we were very happy with it. What they do is there's like 20 days of lessons, and for every grade level too. So we did the pre-K for our kids, and what's cool is like they have all these lessons, and basically it's just books and videos. So like an 8-minute video on like a book, a fiction book that they made a video of, and then a non-fiction book that you kind of click page by page through. And then they have like activities, true or false. Is this a fiction story fact, or is it a non-fiction story fact? And they have word matching and all these things. Kept the kids very engaged. They were definitely very into it. And something cool that's being offered that's free and awesome for the parents to keep their kids engaged at home.
Right. The boys really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And there's all these other resources too you can check out. Just search, free activities for kids. And definitely would recommend that, scholastic.com/learn-at-home.
Third idea is classic outdoor games such as hopscotch. That's one we tried today with the kids. They really loved it. Really is great for getting coordinated and just playing something fun. Good old-fashioned game of hopscotch.
Yeah, active. You learn your numbers, and just with chalk, just make some squares on your sidewalk and you got a game. So one thing we did after dinner tonight was played this Tabletop Game, which is basically just a series of questions. This version is called Family Conversation Pack, and there's 3 different categories of questions. One is right or wrong, family on the move, and another is heroes. And basically, it just has questions for you to ask your kids and just get conversations started. And we were probably playing this game for 40 minutes with the kids. And, our kids are only 3 and almost 5, so very light questions. But it promoted a lot of conversation. I was very impressed and happy about it.
And the kids were fully engaged throughout the whole thing. I think they really enjoyed having their opinions heard and thinking about their own thoughts and perspectives and getting our feedback.
Right. And sometimes I have to dumb down the questions. Like this one says, who was the most virtuous person you know? And instead I said, who's the most honest person you know? Or who's the most good person you know? I think that's what I ended up saying. But yeah, anyway, it was cool to get the kids engaged and talking about it. The 3-year-old Alvin was kind of making up nonsense some of the time, but he was sincere about his nonsense and it sounded pretty good.
Yeah. Another fun activity we do indoors is what we call the watercolor game. And all it consists of is a couple of glasses, some water, and some food coloring. And you fill your glasses about halfway up with water, and then you put a drop of food coloring in each cup. And then you practice learning your primary colors and secondary colors. Our eldest, who's 4.5, loves this activity. Absolutely loves it. Can I do a watercolor game? And he really enjoys the process of taking the colors and mixing them to create secondary colors. So taking the yellow and the blue to create a green, or the red and the blue to make a purple.
Eventually it all turns into black muck, but it's fun.
And he loves getting to that point. But it's a great activity to learn about color interactions, primary and secondary colors, and just having fun.
Another one we've done, Tabletop Experiment, is just classic baking soda vinegar. And the kids enjoy that. It's quick. It's fun. We just did that. I think we pushed a balloon over a bottle. We had baking soda and vinegar in it, and they could see it inflate.
The balloon blew up.
Yeah.
They like that.
Yeah, and something that's really cool if you can get it, and actually a lot of places offer it, that you just have to Google search dry ice, and you could buy a thing of dry ice. Be careful when handling dry ice. You get frostbite. Make sure they're not touching it. Make sure they're not eating it. But dry ice can be a lot of fun. You see that steaming, foaming effect. Our kids have a lot of fun whenever I get dry ice. And we've had experiments before that have gone awry where we bottled dry ice and the quick expansion of the gases, blew the top off, and we have a little mark in our ceiling as a reminder to be careful with that stuff.
Yeah. If handled properly, it can be a very fun, interesting science experiment.
Yeah, like we've stuck quarters in them, and the quarters get so cold and act like a heat exchanger that they start quivering and making these cool sounds. And there's a lot you can do with
It's really cool, but make sure you read up on the safety precautions.
Yeah, definitely be cautious with it.
Here's a fun and slightly messy project you can do with your kids, making slime. Our boys love the activity. You need some food coloring, some Elmer's glue, and then a solution of your choice. You can do either
contact lens
solution,
detergent,
liquid starch, or Tide blue detergent. And basically you mix it together and then you create slime.
Or a silly putty, like a variant of silly putty. It's not as good. It will dry out in a couple days.
Right, but it's a lot of fun to make. You can put a little food coloring in to give it some color, and they have a lot of fun with that. Not too long ago, I acquired this craft kit, which was an excavating kit, and it was really cool. They had these rubber animals stuck inside a dried out clay ball, and what you had to do was soak the clay ball, and then you took a little pick tool and just excavated into it and uncovered the fossil or the animal that was inside the clay. And I thought that was a great activity. The kids had so much fun with it. Every morning they looked forward to getting another clay ball that they could excavate. Now, we don't all have clay balls with, rubber animals on the inside of it, but a great DIY version you can do is to take little rubber animals and freeze them into ice cubes, and then have your kids free the ice creatures, either with like a hammer and a screwdriver or whatever you can come up with that they can pick away at the ice to get to the little animal inside. So kind of a fun excavating project. You can open up the conversation to learn about fossils and all sorts of cool things. So highly recommend that.
One thing we did recently, and actually you could watch a video of this on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/famvestor, was making claymation videos with the kids. And if you have a GoPro, it's really easy, but I think a lot of phone apps too, maybe you need a claymation app, but I think time-lapse can also work on your phone. And claymation is really cool. You just take pictures of frame by frame. So I had it set on my GoPro, time-lapse every 5 seconds, take a shot. So basically, with the kids, I tried to teach them, take a ball of clay and roll it one decrement every 5 seconds and hear the click of the frame on the GoPro and then move it again. And then we compiled the video really quick and saw the whole thing, and it was a really cool activity we did with the kids. The younger 3-year-old didn't get it so much, but the 4.5-year-old definitely got it, and it was enjoyable. But if you have older kids, I think they'd really love it.
Yeah, and you don't have to be complicated with what you sculpt. You can keep it super simple. You just did like a clay ball, 2 clay balls merging and turning into a different color, something very easy. You don't have to make complex, and characters.
It could just be as simple, and it doesn't have to be even clay. You could just take a object and move it every 5 seconds, move it slightly, and accelerate it, and just roll it around the frame of the screen. And that's cool enough. It looks like it's moving on its own.
Stop motion animation.
Yeah. Another cool activity we've done with the kids is just make a treasure map. And basically what I usually do is just take a piece of printer paper and outline, rooms in the house and little landmarks, kitchen table here, refrigerator here. And then I put like an X marks the spot, and that's where I hide some treasure. So this is a treasure map, and, I give the map to the kids, and they have to kind of figure out geographically, okay, where is this X based off these landmarks? And it's a fun thing to do with the kids. They definitely enjoy it. It's a lot of work front end for the parents. If you make a good diagram of your house, just make copies of that and then start putting X's, because it does take a lot of work to keep doing it over and over again.
We also enjoy doing obstacle courses throughout the house. What it typically looks like is a race around the house where we design different obstacles that they have to go through, like jump onto the couch and roll over the bed and hop over the chair and run to this room and touch this door, and whoever gets to the finish line first wins. And our boys, who are very competitive, love this game.
Yeah.
We do it over and over again. My parents who live upstairs say they think there's a herd of stampeding horses downstairs when we're doing this. But it's a lot of fun. a way to burn off energy if you can't go outside on a rainy day or something, and just to have fun.
Right. So usually it goes like, okay, everyone touch the kitchen, the exit door, and then you gotta run through the kitchen, jump on the couch once, go through the kitchen table, go into that room, touch the bunk bed, and then whoever touches the kitchen door at the end wins.
Yeah.
So some kind of circuit that's prearranged, and then we all forget halfway through what we're supposed to actually be touching, and it's a lot of fun.
And usually we take turns designing the course. We'll do it, and then our son will get all into it, and he'll design the next round of racing, and it's a great way to get them involved in having fun. Something to mention here, too, is just fun, imaginative game time, playtime with your kids. Maybe they want to put on a show for you, like a play, or you could practice doing a puppet show. What our sons really like to do is something they call the bright light show, because we have these bright lights in our office, and they like to turn them on, and they imagine that they're on a stage. So they spend like 5 minutes. Here they are. The lights are off, and now, boom, they're back on, if you're watching this. But, yeah, they like to take about 5 minutes
using our podcast lights.
Yeah. To set up their bright light show, and they basically rearrange the furniture. They make a seating area and a stage area, and then they call us in, and they take turns singing us songs and pretending they're on a stage singing to an audience, and we all take turns singing a song and applauding one another. And that's just a fun game that we do, but you could be doing a tea party with your daughter, or, creating an imaginary world, whatever it might be that your kids like to do. So one of my friends came up with this really clever idea that I thought was great. It was just a party. Throw a party for no reason in your house. If you're stuck inside, it's bad weather, you can't get out for whatever reason. No reason you have to be bored inside. You can still have fun. So she pulls out all these leftover party decorations that she has from previous birthdays, paper plates and streamers and hats, and creates a random day party. And she did this with her kids yesterday, and apparently they had a blast. So shout out to my friend Diane, who came up with that idea. I think it was really clever.
So one thing I've done a couple times with the kids, and we did tonight together, all as a family, was kids yoga. And basically you just type in YouTube kids yoga, and there's some great videos where the kids can kind of get involved and allow you time to do some physical activity, do some stretching. That's something I've been wanting to do a lot more as a family. And, Valen was doing yoga today with us. Alvin was just looking at the screen. But at
least it kept him entertained.
Right. And we were all able to do our stretching that we wanted to do. And there's some great stuff. There's one about like Frozen. So they go through like the Frozen storyline and doing stretches that are like Olaf related. And anyway, the kids will get entertained, and it's a good thing for them to do. There's also what's really cool, and we've done a little bit with the kids. I want to do more of it. Is like family Acroyoga. The kids like to pose Mama Frog, where they get on my legs, and anyway, you can do some cool like acrobatic type stuff with the kids.
Couple fun games our boys love: I Spy and 20 Questions. They love playing this, whether you're in the car or in the house, sitting at the table, sitting in the living room. You just can easily say, let's start 20 questions. Come up with an item in the room, and we're going to try to guess what it is. And my son loves that game. It's a lot of fun, really entertaining, great bonding experience. I Spy is pretty much the same as well. I spy a blue something or other, and they need to find it in the room, and we have a lot of fun with those games.
I want to talk about 3 board games that I really like with the toddlers. We've tried Candyland. That was the first board game we played. That was pretty good, but I hate that there's no strategy involved. And so many of these kids' board games, even like the kids' Monopoly, there's no strategy. You have to buy the property. It's not like make the strategic decision whether to buy this cash flowing property or not. You have to buy it. I'm like, what's the point of playing this game when a robot can play? Anyway, enough about that. 3 games. Connect 4 is awesome. Tic-tac-toe is boring. Everyone ends in a tie. But Connect 4, my 4-year-old is very competitive in Connect 4 now. We started playing from Christmas when I got him Connect 4, and we played probably at least once or twice a week, and he's gotten really good. I do let him use 2 like extra chips that don't count towards a win, but he can use it in conjunction with a counting block. Anyway, that's confusing.
A blocker chip.
Right. Yeah. So I have a little bit of a handicap, but because that handicap. He beats me, half the time, and I beat him half the time. So it keeps entertaining, and soon I'm going to take away these blocker chips. Like, he started with 4 to beat me, and now he's up to 2. Soon enough, we'll be competitive, I think, and it's a great segue into chess, but it just gets his mind engaged, and I have fun playing with him because it's a challenge.
Right, he is challenging you, and it's fun for both sides.
Yeah, and I love seeing him progress and get better and better at it. So that was one. We have this LCR game, left, center, right. That also does not have much strategy. It doesn't have any strategy, actually, but it teaches the kids, their left hand, their right hand, and it's it's quick enough that it's fun and engaging. So
not over involved, just a couple of dices and chips, and very easy to play.
And our 3-year-old even can play, and it's fun for him. LCR game, it's like the #1 kids game on Amazon. Check it out. It's cheap too. And then our last recommendation, we just found this game on happenstance. I think your mom got it for us. It's called Red Light, Green Light, and it's not the active Red Light, Green Light. It's a board game, but it actually has strategy, which is cool. And it's basically just this long board, and you're trying to get from the start line to the finish line. You move up a space every time you get a green light card. So you have a stack of cards with green lights and a few red lights. So you can ask for as many cards as you want, but as soon as you hit a red light, that means none of those green cards you hit previously counted for anything. So, it kind of teaches gambling. Kids, like, how many cards do you want? Do you want to go for, that 6th card, or stop with those 5 green lights you already hard? Because you could get that red light. That's
like risk tolerance.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a fun game. I definitely enjoy with the kids. So that's Red Light, Green Light. So I want to give a quick shout out to a friend we made recently. Another fellow homeschooler, JD Alvarez. She has a YouTube channel, great channel. We learned a lot from her, and we've met up with her, and a great family. I want to give a shout out to her website, jdalvarez.com. And if you go under like freebies, she has these great learning resources. I love these learning Play-Doh mats. Basically, you just print out these mats, and maybe it has like a pan, and you just create, it's a Play-Doh mat, so you create some kind of food, and you put it in the paper pan that's printed out, and just have fun with it. There's a lot of other things.
She has like a head, and it has no face on it, so you can create the face and the hair and the eyes, and it's a lot of fun. You can make goofy faces, you can make pretty faces, whatever you like with your Play-Doh creations.
Yeah, but she homeschools her 4 kids, and so she has all these resources of how she's homeschooled them. Her YouTube channel is all about homeschooling. So if you are into homeschooling, but even now, if you just want kids' activities, she has a great resource. I definitely highly recommend it.
She has some great videos on Montessori stations and creating lots of cool activities to do with the kids, manipulatives and things for fine motor skills, and all sensory play, all sorts of different activities and ideas. I've come up with a few inspirations from her as well, so I highly recommend checking her out.
Yeah, we're trying to get her on the show. I just messaged her 30 minutes ago to get on, so message her, let her know we want her on the FAMvestor podcast.
Another fun thing to do, or another thing to do, is definitely incorporating some learning activities. There are some great workbooks for kids in preschool and kindergarten that you can get for letter practicing and fine motor skill development, early math concepts. We have a whole bunch of those, and we do work through them somewhat, but there are times when our kids just aren't motivated by the actual book. So Sunny came up with a really cool way to get the kids motivated and interested in learning to practice writing and reading. Why don't you tell them?
Yeah, so one thing we got into recently was Pokemon, and I wanted to get, make it more than just watching entertaining Pokemon videos. So we, Valen got very into all the different Pokemon. Now there's I grew up with 150 of them. Now there's 900. I still don't know how to feel about those other 750 of them. But Valen got into it. And anyway, we got him a book about all the Pokemon that we rented from the library, and it has all 900 Pokemon, and he's always asking me to print Pokemon that he wants to color. So this is how we got him into coloring pages. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but basically any Pokemon, and I think this is anything, if they're into Paw Patrol, whatever they're into, make that into a learning aid. So I just type in the Pokemon and then printables in Google. So you could type in Paw Patrol printables, and you could print out these coloring sheets right from your black and white printer. So that's what I do, and he prints and he starts coloring, and he learns to color in the lines, fine motor skills, matching colors with his Pokemon encyclopedia. And what I got him to do recently, because he's just starting to learn his letters, and he's always asked me to print Pokemon. So I'm like, okay, if you want me to print it, just write it down in a list. So he has to actually transcribe all the letters, oh, okay, I want Gyarados. So I'm like, okay, you got to write it on a list then. So he takes a piece of paper and it writes Gyarados, G-A-R-A. And then once I get the list, I'll print it for him. And, another stage of it is once he's finished coloring the page, I like him to write down the name of the Pokemon underneath it. And usually I'll just kind of trace out the actual letters, and then he'll finish it using crayon.
Right, and we have this binder that whenever he finishes a Pokemon picture, the picture gets to go in the binder, and he's building a Pokemon index book. And so it's kind of an incentive for him to actually finish the page. He has to finish coloring it neatly and transcribing the name onto the bottom of the page, and then we can slip it in the binder and it goes into the collection.
Yeah, and we use this Pokemon as a reward. We have our morning activities and our morning lesson plans, and if they fulfill those lesson plans, then maybe we can watch an episode of Pokemon.
One thing that you can do, which is a lot of fun, we did this last summer and we plan to do it again this week, starting tomorrow hopefully, is germinating seeds. You can take an old egg carton, and even some old egg shells actually are great pods to put soil in and to do your seed germinating. But you can do all sorts of things. You can take dry seeds and germinate them and plant them in the little egg cartons, or you can even take from an actual vegetable or fruit the seeds that are in there, and there's certain ways you can germinate those seeds as well. Great videos on YouTube on how to germinate various types of seeds, whether it be a strawberry or potato or tomato, whatever you prefer. And it's a great thing to learn about growth and plant life and patience as you wait for your sprouts to sprout. Highly recommend it. Our kids find it extremely rewarding and exciting to do the planting and then anticipate the growth, watering it daily and caring for it. It's a great way of teaching responsibility too. So highly recommend that, and we're excited to be getting into that starting tomorrow. Our son has been asking for it, so that is on the to-do list.
Yeah, and I think it's a great activity, especially, if we're going to be indoors for the next couple of weeks. It's a great thing to, every morning just spray down the egg carton with the seeds in it, and then watch it progress from day to day. And you don't have to go to the store to get something, as long as you have a vegetable in your fridge. If it's a cucumber, just grab those cucumber seeds, a tomato seeds, and just get planting. Moving
outdoors now, some fun things that you can do with your kids out of the house. We love hiking. Hiking's a great activity, gets you out, gets you moving out into nature and exploring. And we recently went on a hike last weekend on a ferry trail.
It's called the Rahway Ferry Trail in Millburn, New Jersey.
Right, and it's a really cool hike. It's specifically designed for families with young kids. And what it is this half-mile trail with tons and tons of ferry houses that various people have built and put out there for the ferries to come and live in. And it's really an enchanting trail. Our boys loved it, looking at all the little ferry houses. My son brought a pocket full of little gems and pretty rocks and things, and inspected each ferry house. And if they didn't seem to have any shiny gems or valuables, he would give them a little gem so that they could have something. We called him a little Robin Hood, sometimes taking gems from the houses that had too many and dispersing them evenly to other houses.
Anyway,
it was fun.
Not everyone's going to have a ferry trail, but there's a lot of cool hiking that you can do, and it's just important to get out into nature.
Yeah.
You can do camping. Camping's another great thing. I want to do some as long as we have good weather at some point. Take the kids out camping. And just, getting out. We were at the park today for 3 hours. Luckily, our local park hasn't been shut down, and there's tons of open grass fields. So we just took, a nice patch of grass, staked it as our own, and just had fun. Valen was rolling down the hill. collecting acorns. I created a little sumo circle in the ground just with a stick, and we just had a sumo battle with boys against me with just one hand, and just who could push each other out of the sumo circle, and just generally having fun. I think we were literally out there for 3 hours.
You could do a scavenger hunt with your kids if you're looking for an activity to do.
Right.
Go find an acorn, go find 3 rocks, and whoever finishes first wins. That's an activity you could do too.
But just screaming, kids are screaming when they're inside. It's such a pain. When it's outside, it's just fun. So it's just important to get outside and get outside time.
So hope you enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully you got a few ideas to inspire some fun, creative time and bonding time with your family. Get out there or stay inside. Either way, just make the time you have together times that are building memories and a lot of love within your family.
Yeah. So everyone stay safe, weather through this challenging time, but, make the most out of it. Take advantage of this unique circumstance to really bond with your kids and really just, make lasting memories, as Sunmi mentioned. So with that, we hope everyone best of luck, good luck, Godspeed.